You are 9 years old, standing barefoot in a muddy training circle while dozens of older girls watch you fail. Your shoulder burns, your palms are torn open. Your mother, the queen, is standing at the edge of the circle. She hasn't said a word. The instructor picks up your spear and gives it back. Again, you throw, miss. Again, you throw again, miss. Your eyes sting, but you refuse to cry. Because in your world, weakness isn't something you are allowed to hide. It is something you are expected to destroy. You look at the target, raise the spear, and throw. This time, the blade hits the center. The training circle erupts. Your mother finally nods. That single movement means more than praise ever could. You have passed your first test, but you haven't become a warrior. Not even close. You have only entered level 1. Level 1, the chilled trainee. You are born into a nation built around one idea. Every woman must be capable of protecting herself and everyone around her. There is no easy childhood here. From the moment you can walk, training becomes part of your life. At sunrise, you run through the forest. You learn which roots will trip you, which branches can support your weight, which sounds mean danger. You learn to swim rivers before you are old enough to understand why you need to. You learn to climb, track, hide, hunt, and fight. Your teachers do not care if you're tired. They don't care if you're scared. They especially don't care if you're crying, because they believe fear is useful. Fear keeps you alive, but panic gets you killed. By 12, you have learned to use a bow, you can throw a spear, you can fight with a knife, and you can recognize dozens of plants by touch. Some heal wounds, some stop pain. Others can kill you before you realize you made a mistake. Then comes your first real lesson about war. A hostile tribe approaches the hunting grounds. You are too young to fight, so you are ordered to watch. You hide behind the trees while the warriors move through the forest. Then the arrows come. You hear shouting, steel, screaming, and then silence. When the fighting ends, your instructor finds you staring at the bodies. You wanted to know what a warrior was, she tells you. This is the answer. For the first time, you understand something your training never could. Being a warrior isn't about looking powerful. It's about surviving the moment when power becomes necessary. And that moment is coming for you. Level 2, the Adolescent Hunter. At 14, childhood is over. You're now strong enough to join hunting parties. This is your first real responsibility. If you fail, people go hungry. You spend days deep inside the rainforest tracking animals through terrain that seems impossible to read. But you've learned the language. A broken branch tells you something passed through. A disturbed patch of dirt tells you how recently. A faint smell on the wind can reveal an animal long before you see it. You learn patience. The kind of patience that requires you to stand absolutely still for hours. Then you see your target. You draw the bow. One breath, one shot. The animal drops. The kill is quick. Because your teachers have taught you that survival does not give you permission to be careless. You kneel beside your first kill and perform the ritual of thanks. For the first time, you understand that becoming a warrior isn't only about taking life. It's about understanding its value. But while you are learning to hunt, something else is happening. The enemy is getting closer. Raids become more frequent. Watchtowers are reinforced. Weapons are moved closer to the village. And every night, the warriors discuss the same question. How long until war reaches the heart of your land? You already know the answer. Not long. Level 3, the warrior initiate. At 16, you face the trial that every young warrior fears. The trial of the spear. You are sent alone into the wilderness with a spear, a knife, and limited water. For 7 days, no one is coming to save you. Your task is simple. Survive. The forest feels different when you're alone. Every sound becomes a threat. Every shadow looks alive. The first night, you barely sleep. The second, hunger begins to weaken you. By the third, your body is exhausted. By the fourth, you're eating whatever you can find. Then, on the 5th morning, you find tracks, large ones, fresh ones, jaguar. You could walk away. No one would know. But that's not how the trial works. You follow the tracks for hours. The animal sees you before you see it. Suddenly, the forest explodes. The jaguar charges. You raise the spear. It knocks you to the ground. Claws tear across your shoulder. You scream. But you don't let go. You force yourself back up. And when it attacks again, you step forward instead of backward. The spear strikes. The animal falls. You collapse beside it. For several minutes, you don't move. You're bleeding. You're shaking. But you're alive. You skin the animal, wrap the pelt around your body, and begin the journey home. On the 7th morning, you walk back into the village. Everyone is waiting. Your mother steps forward. She looks at your wounds, then at the trophy in your hands. For the first time, she doesn't see a child. She sees a warrior. The spear has done its job. You have earned your place. Now you are expected to prove it. Level 4, The Battle Warrior. War finally arrives. The enemy army is larger than anyone expected, so your people do what they have trained to do. They form ranks. You join a frontline unit of warriors carrying spears and shields. The woman beside you is named Lysandra. She has trained with you for years. Tonight, she is laughing. Tomorrow, she might be dead. At dawn, the enemy appears across the river. Thousands of soldiers. You can hear their voices from the opposite bank. Your stomach tightens. You've fought before, but never like this. Then the first arrows fly. The sky disappears behind them. You raise your shield. The impact sounds like rain hitting a roof. Then comes the charge. Your formation moves forward. Shields lock together. Spears rise. The enemy crashes into you. Suddenly there is no strategy. No ceremony, no glory. Only survival. You stab, block, move, fall, stand. Your world becomes the few feet directly in front of you. You don't know how many people you kill. You don't even know how many you lose. You only know that when the sun begins to disappear, the enemy finally retreats. You survived. Then you turn around. Lysandra is on the ground. A spear has gone through her chest. You drop beside her. There is nothing you can do. The woman who trained beside you will never walk back into the village. That night, you finally understand the real cost of being a warrior. Victory isn't free. Someone always pays for it, and sometimes it's the person standing beside you. Level 5. The Elite Guard. Years of war change you. Your hands are permanently scarred. Your face carries old wounds. You don't sleep deeply anymore. You know what an ambush sounds like before everyone else does. You have survived enough battles to become something rare. A veteran. Then one morning, the Queen calls for you. You expect another mission. Instead, she gives you a new position. You are being promoted to the Elite Guard. You are now one of the warriors trusted to protect the Queen herself. The armor is better. The weapons are better. But the responsibility is heavier. Every movement matters. You stand beside the Queen during meetings. You guard her while she sleeps. You walk with her through the village. And slowly you begin to see the woman beneath the crown. The Queen is your mother, but she is also your commander. You have spent your entire life trying to earn her approval. Now you're responsible for keeping her alive. The relationship becomes complicated. There are things you want to ask her, things you've wanted to say for years. But warriors are not raised to discuss feelings. They are raised to obey. Then the war reaches a breaking point. Your people have suffered enormous losses. The enemy is weakened but not defeated. The council gathers. Some demand total victory. Others want peace. You stand behind the Queen while she listens. Then she makes her decision. War will continue. Everyone leaves the council chamber. You stay. She looks at you. For 1 second, she isn't the Queen. She's your mother. And you realize something terrifying. One day, you may have to decide whether she is right. Because you are no longer just protecting the crown. You are becoming someone who could one day wear it. Level 6. The Warlord. That day comes sooner than you expect. The battlefield is chaos. You are fighting beside your mother when an arrow comes from the trees. You see it only for a second. Then it strikes her. She falls. You catch her before she hits the ground. Your armor is covered in her blood. You scream for the healers. But you already know there is no saving her. She looks at you, and with the last of her strength, she says, "Take the crown." Then she's gone. The battlefield continues around you, but everything has changed. You are the Queen now. The coronation is quiet. There is no celebration. The crown is placed on your head, and for the first time you understand why your mother always looked tired. The crown isn't power, it's responsibility. Every soldier becomes your responsibility. Every village, every child, every mistake. Your first decision is simple. Finish the war. You lead from the front because your peoples expect their ruler to face the same danger they do. The enemy retreats into the mountains. You pursue them. Weeks become months. Eventually you find their stronghold. You surround it. Cut off supplies. Wait. The siege lasts for weeks. Then the gates open. The warlord who caused so much destruction is dragged before you in chains. The army waits for your command. You could show mercy. You could execute him. Everyone watches. You raise your weapon. And in that moment, you finally understand your mother's burden. Being a leader doesn't mean choosing what feels right. Sometimes it means making the choice nobody else is willing to make. The war ends. Your people survive, but you don't feel victorious. You feel older, much older, because the crown has taken something from you that victory can never replace. Your peace. Level 7. The legend. Decades pass. The wars are over. The nation begins to rebuild. You eventually surrender the crown to a younger queen. Now you live at the edge of the village, far from the ceremonies and battlefields. Children know you as a legend. They say you defeated entire armies by yourself. They say you killed a jaguar with your bare hands. They say the gods protected you. You know the truth. You were afraid. You made mistakes. You lost people you loved. You gave orders that sent warriors to their deaths. And sometimes, when everyone else celebrated victory, you went somewhere alone and cried. Legends always remove the ugly parts. They keep the courage, the victories, the impossible moments, but they rarely keep the fear. One evening, a young girl walks into your hut. She's holding a spear. It's almost too large for her. She looks at you nervously. Will you teach me? You stare at her. And suddenly, you're 9 years old again. A bleeding child standing in the training circle, your mother watching.
Your instructor saying the same word over and over again.
You take the spear, hand it to the girl. She throws. The spear misses. She looks embarrassed. You smile. Again. She throws a second time. Closer. Again. Third throw. The spear strikes the target. You nod. And for the first time in years you feel peace, because now you understand. The greatest rank was never queen. It was never warlord. It was never legend. It was the ability to make sure the next generation didn't have to start from nothing. You once held the spear because you were afraid of failing. You became a hunter because your people depended on you. You became a warrior because war demanded it. You became a guard because someone had to protect the crown. You became a queen because someone had to lead. And eventually, you became a legend because someone had to remember what it all cost. The girl grips the spear. You watch her take her first step toward the training circle. The cycle begins again, and somewhere behind you the old spear rests against the wall, waiting for the next hand, the next warrior, the next story. Because in the world of the Amazons, you never truly leave the battlefield. You simply decide who will carry the spear after you.